Gonna do my live stream on my YouTube channel. Just want to make sure this is working. This is on. Y'all can hear me. You can hear my commentary. Alright, here we go. This is Jacob Cast 2024. We're gonna do Monday Night Raw review. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, there is no Brock Lesnar. I almost forgot. Brock Lesnar on the game because he was gone for a while. Unless I have to unlock him. But no, there is no Brock Lesnar. Austin Theory, and Logan Paul. I think they said they were for the tag team titles. Alright. So we got a brawl. Because there's no Brock Lesnar, as you Bronson Reed, who by the way is injured. Usos and Austin Theory. Becky Lynch challenges AJ Lee at WrestleMania for the Women's IC Championship. We have the Giovanni Evans versus Grayson Waller. Alright. Always like over here. Here we go. Grayson Waller. There goes that match. Seth Rollins had another segment with Paul Heyman. He attacked Paul Heyman. He gets arrested by the officer. He gets escorted out of the building. We didn't see those masked people, those people in those black hoodies. It was just Rollins out there by himself. Clearly they're setting up something for Rollins at WrestleMania, whether Braun Breaker if he's coming back. Now we did get another segment with Dan Hudson versus I Shall Be. Yes, I Shall Be was on Monday Night Raw tonight. I don't know doing Dan Hudson keep doing the backstage segment. He cursing superstars, other people backstage, kind of weird. I don't think he had a match yet. Anyway, going to the next match. Bayley and Lyra earn a victory over the Kabuki Warriors, I assume. Yeah.
I found myself wearing.
Okay. Over the Kabuki Warriors, alright. There was a backstage segment with Io Sky offered to support Kairi Sane. Alright. Now let me go into this. Bayley and Lyra versus Asuka and Kairi Sane of the Kabuki Warriors. Okay. I know there were more matches on here, wasn't there? Well, actually, there was a match with Dominic and Penta for the IC title. Well, Penta's not on the game, so I'd use Rey Mysterio. Alright. Over on Brock again. Wanna destroy CM Punk. Why is my damn connection, this internet so damn slow? Alright, we're going to some of the podcasters here. So I can get this over, so I can show you all this. I'll make this live in about an hour. My video is sponsored by JD from New York, Salamat the Sound Off, Fight for Pro Wrestling, and other YouTubers that I know of that I'm going to show you on here. Monday Night Raw, after a lackluster face-to-face last week, they need to get back on track here and get people hyped up in this match. Like I think there's only like 3 storylines is Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, and Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and that's about it. I don't think we saw Judgment Day on here, or did we? I don't know. Okay, but not much. Not much really building. Okay, all right. But this goddamn internet's so damn slow. I'm trying to show you all the rest of the matches, and we'll talk about the news and rumors, and I'll show off some of the podcasters. Alright, alright, come on now. Alright, we're going to some of the podcasters here. Going to No DQ. Yeah, the main event with the Uso, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. Something wrong with the internet here. The disconnection, it gets my damn nerves. Where the commercials, so aggravating, man. So annoying. So annoying, man. Come on.
And we'll see if they can hit a home run. Time will tell. That's next week. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give this one a thumbs up. Spread the word about NoDQ.com.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
And that's what Reigns did, hitting the spear. And then Punk was powerbombed through the table by Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns left, and then Punk was laughing, basically saying that once again, Reigns cannot do anything on his own. Because after all, it was Jay that went after Punk, and then Reigns took the shot with the Superman punch. And that was the end of Raw. I thought it was a good segment.
What should we
Here's the damn Tony.
What should we talk about tonight? We have so much news to get into. Should we just get into Raw right off the bat? I think we should, right? Monday Night Raw.
We need to figure it out. Someone's mask has got to go. That definitely feels like the direction that we're heading. Right, then we went to the Heyman segment. You lot said this was good 93, so you scored this about the same as the Becky AJ Lee segment. I was surprised this didn't do better, actually. So, I'm having a bad night. There's no one left for me to hide behind. Bronson Reed won't be back anytime soon. Bron Breakker will not be back anytime soon. Maybe. Brock Lesnar's so peeved off he's already left. Logan half-conscious. Theory half-conscious. It's just me. It's just me, Oos. Paul Heyman, just me, Oos. I'm sensing a swerve. He calls out Seth. Seth comes out.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was Seth and
That's
versus
when she.
AJ.
That's when she was.
Yeah.
It was when Becky attacked CM Punk. You knew that obviously CM Punk can't have a match with Becky Lynch, so it was only a matter of time before AJ. When Becky slid into the ring wearing the black hoodie uniform and gave an uppercut to CM Punk's balls. That was the return of AJ Lee, even if she didn't show up for another week or two. And since then, the only people that...
Alright, let's go on to go over
The
commentary.
better of Brock. Now, I'm not going to be convinced that because of these two segments that Oba got the better of, that automatically means Brock is winning at WrestleMania now. I saw a lot of that on social media tonight. Oh, Brock is winning, Brock is winning. He may very well...
This season, you've got places to go, people to see,
God damn
and
it.
things to do. You may have already gotten vaccinated for flu and...
Brock, much like Roman Reigns tonight, will have his day possibly next week where he might get one over on Obafemi. Maybe I would like to see some sort of a brawl where maybe Brock like F5s Oba onto the table. and then as Brock is backing off, laughing and admiring his work, Oba gets up within like 20 seconds, and he's kind of standing there, like just staring at Brock. And Brock's like, "Oh fuck, I got my work cut out for me at WrestleMania," like something like that. But I think next time they are in the ring together, which I think is going to be next week, it should be Brock maybe getting the better of that exchange. Because if Oba just keeps beating Brock's ass every week, I feel like he's going to lose at WrestleMania. And I think most fans at this point still want Obafemi to beat Brock. I know that I do. So another big confrontation here between these two with Oba getting the better of it. We will see what happens next week in Madison Square Garden.
He's not fast. You don't think he's
Brock,
athletic?
Brock Lesnar's like 50 years old. So
yeah, but he's a fucking meat unit.
That's Brock Lesnar. Though.
That's true. Bullfrog makes a good point, though, guys.
But that's Brock Lesnar.
We're all talking about top athletes here, and Lesnar and Brady.
Ah, man.
Look on to
way more scandalous than this. Isn't that crazy? And I'm like I said, I get thrown at each other when
point. I feel like Cody and Randy.
It's an obvious direction that some of us are missing.
I do think it's lending itself to the possibility of an Uso turn on Roman Reigns. Now, does that happen at WrestleMania to cost him? I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Maybe that's something that takes place after WrestleMania. Let's say Roman wins. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns is kind of interesting. Right? Again, kind of running it back to the beginning of the bloodline, but in a whole different realm for Roman Reigns. So I don't know if it's specifically that, and it could be. I'm not saying he's wrong, but I do see the seeds being planted for some friction and for it not to be so obvious, where it's like, oh, they're helping Roman Reigns get over versus creating some friction there.
Yeah, I think my response to that is I don't think that that's what my heart and my soul wants. Like, I don't want to see Jey Uso going in there and costing Roman Reigns the match. I really, really don't. And I don't even know why it is for me. I guess for me, the idea of, like you said, maybe doing Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns later on after this, it's not that intriguing to me. I think I'm kind of like over that phase where I'm more so ready for new stuff. And I think that's kind of what I'm hungry for. And I know it's kind of weird to say that because at the same time, if we did have this bloodline reunion with the Usos and Roman, I know I just said I don't want to rely on the old stuff, but I also wouldn't mind that. So it's kind of like a 50-50 where it's like, well, some old stuff I'll take, but not all of it, right? I don't think that I'm really that in love with that. Maybe they can convince me to feel differently about it, sure, but that's not where my intrigue lies right now. I think right now, the biggest takeaway that I had of CM Punk and Roman Reigns, there was two. There was one con and one pro. So the con that I didn't love too much was that I didn't love that CM Punk's entire promo was about the remarks that Roman Reigns gave him last week where he called him old. And we laughed about it, haha. But I wasn't expecting that to be the entire meat of CM Punk's promo tonight. And then, my heart broke, Robin. My heart broke into a zillion pieces when CM Punk polled the audience and asked the audience if he was old, and the crowd started chanting yes. Absolutely broke me when CM Punk said that he was the last old man, or that was the old man. When he said the old man, you know what I thought in my head? WWE would so freaking sell a t-shirt that says the old man or the best old man in the world, and that terrifies me. Please, WWE, do not do that t-shirt. Robin, last week I had somebody text me, and their response was, you are literally building one of the WrestleMania main events off of saying that your opponent is old and basically like making CM Punk look bad heading into the actual main event. And that was something that was touched on today too by CM Punk himself. He basically said age is just a number, I feel good, etc., etc. I just really wish Warrior promo to be about that, because now it's lingering in the air. It's taken over. I feel like at this point we're talking more about that than we are about the initial line that CM Punk gave Roman about his father's passing.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of contradictory too. And look, the father line, it's and I said this last week because I do believe this. The father line is personal, but it's kind of out of nowhere. It's like, okay, you know, that the old thing seems to hit at a root issue. It's something we've thought about, we've talked about, we've wondered about its durability and all that. So you could actually see, like, it doesn't bother me that bothered him because I could see it. But tonight, how do you make the case that it's just a number and you're aware of yourself being old and it's not that big a deal, you know, it goes off your back, when you had to snap and punch him in the face last week because he said it? Like, those two things, those thought processes run contradictory.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention the pro to this. The pro is that there was finally physical violence, by the way. That was the thing that I felt was desperately needed, because now everybody's like, here's the thing, Robin, like, this was my storyline. This was my feud. And I feel like now the CM Punk Roman Reigns stuff is kind of being treated like a joke. And it bums me out so much, because that's not what I want it to be. I don't want it to be a joke. I want it to be taken seriously the way that we are with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And now, with the physicality, I feel like that was the pro in all of this, was, okay, now we're getting nasty. Now we're getting, you know, we're beating each other and all of that. That was more enjoyable than, you know, kind of what we were
Because
seeing,
even if Gallus comes in,
you know,
it's
beforehand. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Let's get some more thoughts in here. We got Anthony Giuliano. Thank you, Anthony. He says, hey, Denise and Robin, did you see Bianca by lose her finger because it's not healing right? I did not see that. That felt a little crazy. So I'm just going to say I don't know, because I haven't actually seen something like that. We got Night Wolf here says, if the match ends up being Bloodline rules, it will be the perfect time for The Rock to cost Roman and set up WrestleMania 43 main event, Roman versus Rock. One of the things that I wanted to mention, and it was the thing I was going to say in regards to what you said, but I forgot it. But I do think that CM Punk has to defeat Roman Reigns now. And I know it's kind of one of those things where it's going to be like, oh shit, Roman Reigns lost to an old guy. But whatever, right? But I just don't feel like you can't have CM Punk going out there and losing after this whole embarrassment of being called old and it overshadowing things.
Well, you know, another Bloodline segment tonight was backstage with LA Knight, and when they were talking about the family, The Rock's face was placed very conveniently on the truck. Now, sometimes we read too much into this stuff and think it's hints, but there was clearly a close angle shot of LA Knight making a facial expression that almost kind of quasi-mirrored what The Rock was doing, so it was enough to make you raise a people's eyebrow about what could have been going on and what might have been afoot there. So, yeah, I mean, Rock and Roman at some point is something I think you can get to. Luckily, there is still a few weeks here, because to your point, I feel like Cody and Randy has gotten a little hotter. The Randy character is cooking right now, that like lovable psycho that he's got.
People are losing their minds for him, yeah.
And Roman and Punk, the best segment they did was the first one. That was by far
the first two.
The first two, but I still think the first one. I feel like the first one was here, the second one was here. I might have preferred the Uso segment to the original Uso segment to even the second one. But overall, the first one is still the strongest, and it's gone in the declining direction. So it needs some heat to pick back up in order to not lose steam to the other matches like Randy and Cody and like Brock Lesnar and Oba Fett.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think it's kind of losing some steam, but again, that physicality today definitely helped that. But as to Night Wolf mentioned, was the same thing that you were talking about right now, which is that little Easter egg, maybe an Easter egg of The Rock appearing. Everybody saw that. Everybody was thinking the exact same thing. Was this done intentionally? Is The Rock going to actually appear at WrestleMania 43? I don't know. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, because people have gotten their hopes up in the past and their hopes have been smashed to the ground. So we do not want to do that to you here again. So I'm going to say this. My best advice is, honest to God, my best advice is, do not get your hopes up for The Rock, but if he does come out, then great, amazing, it'll be awesome. But do not get your hopes up for it just in case, all right? You don't want to just, Thank you so much, Nightwolf. We got the wrestling figure God here who says Usos Punk New Straight Edge Society at WrestleMania. He shaves them all. He shaves their head bald. Thank you, the wrestling figure God. We got Hoodboy the Real who says Raw is Roman. Sorry, Denise, after tonight. Y'all, man, what we gotta do here? Y'all don't want the middle-aged man to get to be. I broke my heart when he came out there and he was like, I'm middle-aged and blah, blah, blah. I was like, stop it, Punk, stop it. You're laying it on way too thick, man.
Yeah, I mean, I will say my favorite line in the entire thing was Roman's "Get out of my ring." You know, like that had the most aura and presence to me of everything else that was said. You know, rather than CM Punk talking about having a midlife crisis and oil and jizz.
Yeah, I forgot the jizz line. I was like, he said jizz? Jizz? Okay, I heard you. Thank you, Hoodboy the Real. We got Bob Ross Jr. here. It says, not gonna lie, I didn't realize that this is gonna be AJ Lee's third Mania match, but it's going to be her first singles one because the last two was a Battle Royal and a tag match. That's crazy, Bob. I didn't realize it until you said it right now, and I know Becky Lynch has said that, you know, she hasn't had a WrestleMania match in 10 years, and, you know, that was right before she, you know, left, and it was a whole thing, and, damn, dude, to put into perspective, that's crazy that she's never had that one-on-one singles match, and given how much popularity AJ Lee has and how impactful she was for her time period and her era, and for her to not even have a singles WrestleMania match is insane. Robin, how'd you feel about them making AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch? We had a lot of people that are kind of wanting a stipulation for this matchup too.
Yeah, I liked it. I feel like it's the natural match. I feel like that feud needs its conclusion. WrestleMania is the place to do it. And I thought their segment was pretty good tonight, you know, better than their recent ones. You had the maniacal Becky one a few weeks back that worked fairly well, but it kind of felt flat in between. And AJ had a nice performance in the ring last week, and then I thought they had a good rapport tonight, the way it worked. Her accepting the challenge, and the daughter bit worked for me.
Yeah, you know, I like that too. That was probably the best part.
Yeah, when Becky's saying, like, you know, she's singing that stupid Light It Up song, and then AJ Lee's like, you know, I'm your daughter's favorite wrestler, and you can see it got to Becky a little bit. So I think it was the right match to make, and I think they landed it clean tonight.
We got Bob Ross Jr. here who says, I'm sorry. We got Chavero Armenta here who says, Bianca's news comes from Coachman, so not credible. I do not know, guys. I'm not sure what was said. I have not seen that, so I'm sorry. I want to go and read it and see for myself exactly what is going on with that. We got Fredo here who says, I think we're giving this build way too much grace, considering it's requiring two people not in the match to build a part-timer versus old-timer dud. So we got this super chat right before you came in. Robin, I want to read it to you. Thank you so much to Fredo. Mono King here says, the storylines for WrestleMania are, you are old, my muscle's bigger than yours, my voice is talk to me, I come from Chile, if you have no open challenge. I was like, well, that's a good way to sum it up. But yeah, we had a couple people kind of pointing it out that it was the part-timer versus the old-timer. And I'm like, no, this was not how I imagined them building Roman and CM Punk. My whole thought process on how they should have built this was, who's the real needle mover? Because that's the real drama that happened in the past between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Like, those were real shots thrown at each other when Punk was in AEW about that whole needle mover. I would have much preferred for that to be it. Like, hey, man, I had a better career. No, I had a better career. I'm the bigger needle mover. No, I'm the bigger needle mover. That just feels a little bit more respectful to both of these guys.
And rallying their respective fan bases, right? Like,
yes!
I'm Team Punk or I'm Team Roman. And now Denise is Team Rogaine or Team, I don't know what a middle
he brought up
Just for Men.
But Just for Men, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, Roman Reigns ain't fucking you mean Just for Men. Like, Roman Reigns, if he's got white hair, it's like he's going in there to the salon and getting that shit done properly. Oh, man. Also, I hope Just for Men actually paid for that little bit right there that was mentioned. Thank you, Fredo. We also got Nightwolf here, says you want to bring the heat to feud Roman, brings up Larry. That will really set the feud in a huge direction. People have been waiting for it. In fact, I think some people have been wanting that mention, which is crazy to even say. Thank you so much, Nightwolf. You know what my favorite part of Monday Night Raw was today? Because they kept it simple and it was extremely effective. And that was Obafemi taking Brock Lesnar's ass out. of that ring. He avoided the F5, and I was so happy to see Oba completely fired up this way, and the way that they're building Oba Femi as a real, legit contender to Brock Lesnar has been wonderful, and I hope that they, how should I say this? I hope that they go all the way here. I do not want WWE to back out. I do not want them to get all nervous and shit. They need to have Oba defeat Brock Lesnar. And I'm sorry, any other option is going to be so silly. And I'm sorry, that's how I feel. And they need to keep it going this way. Because right now, what they're doing with Oba so far, the last 2 weeks, to me, have been double thumbs up.
Well, the segment last week is maybe the segment of the year, in my mind, in any wrestling company. That shit was lit. This week, I'll trigger you just a little bit. Do you think because Oba keeps going over on Brock in the build
that they might have Brock
win the match?
WWE would do that, and they shouldn't. That is what I'm saying. Do not do it. Do not do it. Do something different. Do something spectacular. Do something that is off of the damn same formula that we're used to already. I'm tired of being able to see the same. I'm tired of seeing the same formula for so many storylines already at this point. Like, surprise me. Surprise me. Honestly. Pedal to the metal. Let's fucking go. Oba defeats Brock. I'm sorry. That's hella fucking exciting if you ask me.
Well, I mean, look, Oba, regardless of the outcome of WrestleMania, and you know, I could argue both sides of it. I can argue just strap the Rock into the dude now. Put him over Brock. Go. You've got this. Slow strut all the way to the top. You know, fine. Then the other argument is, if you do it, what's next after that? It's already all happened for him versus...
He continues and beats more shit. He's got credibility on the roster. He's a top star.
Credibility against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, there's credibility there. If it's done the right way, it could make you want to see Oba succeed even more if he comes up short somehow and then get back and get the revenge against Brock Lesnar down the road.
That's just the same formula that they do for fucking everybody. And I'm tired of it. Do something different. Alright? I mean this. Tattoo it on my fucking forehead. Do something different. I feel very strongly about this, Robin. Like, legit, I don't feel strongly about any finish of this show than I do the Brock Oba match. That's the one where I'm like, come on, like, this is what you gotta do. This is what you gotta do. This is being the next Bray Wyatt, but maybe doing something similar and everyone.
Alright, hold on. I actually want to show you guys the end of the show. Now before I show the other podcasters, hey, we definitely got Karen and Liv Morgan. They get into it. There was a brawl here, so I guess we did see that. Alright, hold on.
DJ, we're leaving.
There's my own spice in there.
Hold on.
I think I'm gonna stay.
Intercontinental Championship time.
Liv Morgan's definitely getting into a Mania brawl. So we got Stephanie and Liv. They went out and brawled for a bit. They brawled backstage. They're building up their match. Penta and Dominic for the Intercontinental title. Obviously, Balor got involved and he screwed Dominic.
I was the first one to ever join the military in my family. I knew that I wanted to go back to school and produce a big name.
Yeah, we're gonna get Balor and Dominic at WrestleMania, clearly.
Lining up Penta. The ending of that match was almost identical to how Dominic now
Oh, just one. Also, we did see Balor get involved. He brawled with JD McDonough. Well, Claire was setting up this match. Going to the main event segment with Punk and Roman Reigns.
Last time I checked, you already had a tag match. Is that right? That's right. And it's done now, right? That's right. So I'm gonna say this as respectfully as I can. Get your brother and leave my ring. I think he should stay. He needs the help. No, Jay, you can go.
Jay went right up for Punk and out. Jimmy trying to get involved. Roman Reigns with a Superman punch to the back of the head. And listen, Punk pushed the buttons again. Now Adam Pearce and officials out to the ring to try to defuse this situation. But again, Punk with a smart-ass remarks, Corey, got him in trouble. CM Punk knew exactly what he was doing. He was playing with fire. It was a matter of time before he got burned.
That was a pretty decent ending. They got serious. Punk was laughing. He doesn't need help.
Some things
I don't like to see Uso get involved here, but I don't want to really see happening. I don't want to see interference.
isn't one of them.
Unless something happened in this match.
Our engineers couldn't resist the question, what if we ran 2 XL systems?
I've only had one match against each other. Just one match. What was that, 2024? It was when Io Sky was champion. So no, that was 2023. When did Asuka fight Asuka? When did Asuka fight Io?
They're going to stall him out their sound off. Alright, hold on. I want to show you guys Solomon Arthur.
Another job well done. The wild card in this whole to be a pattern over the last few weeks. Next week they're going to be in Madison Square Garden. So we'll see what they have planned for MSG, traditionally their home base. They usually save some special stuff for the Garden. Sorry, Boston. But that's how I felt. I felt like the opening segment of the show was very good. The closing of the show I enjoyed. And then everything in the middle was just very hit or miss. But Roman and Punk were in the final segment of the show. Roman took his time coming out. Punk was out there for the majority of it. I thought Punk was lighting it up on the mic pretty good. And the Usos come out. Now the Usos, we saw them involved in this a few weeks ago. And I didn't know if they were going to kind of work them back in there or not. They were a very big part of that closing segment tonight. Roman Reigns was, he came in towards the tail end of it. Took his sweet time, too, strolling down to the ring. But it's Jey Uso who's kind of the wild card in this whole thing now, because he's the one who egged on Roman Reigns tonight to really put the boots to CM Punk. And what ended up happening was Roman didn't just spear him. He took him outside the ring. He powerbombed him through the announce desk and left him laying. Although Punk was laughing when the show was over. Did you notice that? Punk was laughing. He said, I don't need help. I don't need help. Roman Reigns is the one who apparently always needs his cousins to help him. It's been sort of a recurring theme over the last few years. But Jey Uso was out there tonight acting more like the right-hand man than the Yeet Man. He's sort of the wild card. He's this loose cannon now who just, he yells and screams and he gets all wound up and he's very emotional, and then Jimmy is trying to calm him down. And tonight, Jey was the one who was out there telling Roman when Roman was about to leave, now you better get on him. You better go after him. You got to stand up for our family. So Roman Reigns went ahead, he listened to Jey Uso, and he went after CM Punk. I don't know what role the Usos will ultimately play in the actual match at WrestleMania. It seems to me like they have to be there. They don't have to come out to the ring with Roman, but that they're going to factor into the match in some way. What I would rather not see is just another Bloodline reunion. You watch these shows and the takeaway is that we're building towards an OG reunion of the Bloodline with the Usos and Roman. We already have one. I can't even say we're building to it. We have them on screen working together. But we don't need, Bloodline 2.0. I just think that would be incredibly lazy. Unless there's some sort of new element that they can add to it. That's not really a direction that excites me. So I'm not sure what the end game is here as far as the Usos' participation in all of this, but I liked the segment tonight a lot more than I did the segment from last week. I thought last week's segment was very underwhelming. It was very mid. Tonight they needed to really come back with something big, and honestly, it was CM Punk all by himself in the ring just talking about, last week Roman called him old. And so he went into this whole thing about how I don't hide the fact that I'm old, I wear it as a badge of honor. Got a good zinger in there about Roman, using Just for Men to cover up the gray, and he was really, he was taking that one line from last week, which seemed very silly, that he would kind of flip out over that, and it was very silly. But I like what he had to say about it tonight. I like working the Usos in there, and Punk, going after them, and I don't know. I mean, for me, it just, I like where they are. I am wondering, though, what they will do over these next 3 weeks. It seems to me like you would expect CM Punk is going to get a measure of revenge next week. Maybe he's going to lay him out with a GTS. But where do they go from here? Are we going to have a contract signing? We had a contract signing for Cody and Randy last week. You would think we'll have a contract signing for these two guys at some point, maybe that last Raw before Mania. I do think there's 1 week where Roman is not supposed to be on the show. I think Brock is there every week between now and Mania, I believe. Roman might be missing a week. I want to say it's the week after next, and then I think he comes back for that last Raw before Mania. But I think we're in a good place right now. Right? There's still work to be done, improvements to be made to make things a little more exciting. But I think as far as this story goes, they kind of got the train back on the tracks this week, was my takeaway at the end of the show. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar, they haven't really done much, if you think about it, but what they have done so far has been excellent. You know, the segment last week to set up their WrestleMania match was fucking great. It was the best part of the entire show. We got the match that a lot of us wanted to see. That feels like a WrestleMania match. And so this week, it's like, well, maybe Brock will, you know, get his heat back and he'll lay him out with an F5. They actually teased that, but no, they went with Obafemi for the second week in a row. Second week in a row, laying out Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar looking like, I mean, just looking stunned by the entire thing. It feels to me like, okay, now we're building to, you know, maybe next week, but one of these weeks, Oba's going to get his. It can't just be one-sided between now and WrestleMania. But what they did tonight made Oba look like he belonged, and that's really what they need to do right now. This is the first really, truly big match of this man's career. His first WrestleMania. And it's a match against Brock Lesnar. So it's a lot to put on his shoulders right out of the gate, but you still have to tell people that this guy is special. I mean, I think they can tell just by looking at him. But you want to put him in a position where he comes off as special. You want to put him in a position where he comes off as, oh, okay, this is the guy. And they've done that now for 2 weeks in a row. And Brock has too. You know, Brock is doing his part in all of this. But so far, so good. You know, I don't want to jinx it, but so far, so good. I've enjoyed what they've done with those two. Finn Balor was back on the show tonight to a very lukewarm reaction from the fans in Boston. This is his first appearance since he was booted out of the Judgment Day. And I'm not saying he didn't get a decent reaction, but, I mean, nothing terribly impressive. But he did come out tonight to go after Dominic Mysterio. I'm still not convinced we're getting a singles match at WrestleMania. I'm still wondering, are we looking at a singles match, or are we looking at them being worked into some sort of multi-man intercontinental title match? The story really is Finn and Dom. I mean, it should be one-on-one. I'm still not sure what they're doing, though. I'm not sure what they're doing with Penta. I'm not sure what they're doing with a lot of people on this show, including one person in particular, who for the third straight week was MIA on this show. Were it not for CM Punk in the closing segment mentioning his name, Gunther would not have even gotten a mention on the show tonight. His name was mentioned by Punk in his promo later in the show. Were it not for that, he wouldn't even be mentioned. He would be like an afterthought. You would think that not only did John Cena retire, and not only did AJ Styles retire, but Gunther just said, you know what? I've done all I can do. I can't go any higher than that. I'll retire too. He just voluntarily stepped away from the ring. 3 weeks in a row, barely even a mention of this man on TV. It really all does seem to hinge on Rey Mysterio's status. He's obviously earmarked to wrestle Rey. Otherwise, this doesn't make any sense at all. And everything is just hinging on whether or not he's going to be medically cleared in time to come back. It's crazy to sit here and think that Ludwig Kaiser, under a mask, is a lot more likely to have a WrestleMania match this year than Gunther. Now that's why. And I like Kaiser, but that's fucking wild. Just the thought of it. In case you were wondering whether or not we had a Gunther appearance on the show tonight. The answer is no. You know who else showed up on Raw tonight? Gunther didn't, but I Show Speed. Now look, the last time I remember seeing I Show Speed on a WWE show was that incredible spear at the Royal Rumble last year by Braun Breaker, where he cut that man in half. issue with iShowSpeed. I mean, he's built up a very impressive social media following, 180 million subscribers or something on YouTube, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And he's very athletic, and
I
it's
know
clear they want
and
to
I
do
also
stuff
follow
with
him
him.
online.
And I guess tonight might have been a hint that he might be at WrestleMania. I don't know. Again, the idea of him being at
Wait a minute, when it comes to
WrestleMania
healthcare, nobody
and
cares.
Jelly Roll
They're not
having a
human
match
beings,
at
they're
WrestleMania
parasites.
and not Gunther is
Well,
just
keep
crazy to me.
talking to them. Nobody cares about
But
healthcare.
I saw somebody online, and it's not exactly apples to apples, but I get what they were trying to say. It would be the equivalent of having Brock Lesnar be the one in 21-1 and beat The Undertaker the way he did at WrestleMania, and then you don't follow up on it. And you just do nothing with him for SummerSlam, you do nothing with him for Survivor Series. I was going to say, because Brock took time off after WrestleMania that year anyway, but not following up on something like that, like you wouldn't even be able to fathom that. Like they chose him to be the one in 21-1, so obviously they have big plans for him. And he ended up beating John Cena, winning the World Championship, and here we are with Gunther, and no matter what you think of the guy, putting him in that position to be the guy to retire those two names, and him being in the spot that he's in right now, you got to admit, I mean, that's pretty fucked up. But I mentioned iShowSpeed because he made an appearance on Raw tonight, and there was an item on the Wrestling Observer website that I noticed. I glanced at right before Raw went on the air tonight. This was the original story they posted. Brian Alvarez is reporting a surprise is in store for tonight's show in Boston. I guess this is what Brian tweeted. I'm told there is an extremely big name surprise on Raw. And I saw that and I'm like, not just a big name surprise on Raw, an extremely big name surprise on Raw. Now my mind is racing with what this could possibly mean. Maybe people are right. Maybe The Rock is going to show up tonight as part of it, and he kind of did. I'll get to that later. But now my mind is racing with like, who could this be? You know, what is this mega big name that he's talking about? And then they updated the story a little while later. This was the update, okay, on f4w.wrestling.com. Streaming and social media star iShowSpeed was shown during the Open of Raw, hanging out with Javon Evans. Brian Alvarez has since confirmed that Speed was the big name in question. Now, I put this to you. Do you consider iShowSpeed to be an extremely big name surprise here on Monday Night Raw? Because I don't. So I have to assume that was what was told to Brian. He didn't just decide on his own that this is an extremely big name that's on Raw tonight. What a fucking dumb thing to say. Whoever fed that information to him. I'm like, boy, what a letdown that was. And he didn't even do much. He got cursed by Danhausen. He did the pentastrut. That's about it. Holy shit.
Well, not quite. Well, no one's going to convince
I know,
him.
I'm not saying iShowSpeed is not popular. That's not what I'm saying. But in the context of this wrestling show, if you're a wrestling fan who's getting ready to sit down and watch Monday Night Raw, and you see a report pop up that says there's an extremely big name surprise on Raw tonight, iShowSpeed or Jelly Roll or any of these people are not going to be the first fucking name that you think of when you think of mega big surprise on the show. So I'm glad they at least amended the report and didn't just completely take it down. Also, you should be aware that Cody Rhodes is going to have his first interview since Randy Orton nearly killed him on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. He's going to speak for the first time, not on SmackDown, but on the Pat McAfee show on Wednesday at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to hear what Cody Rhodes has to say, you don't have to wait for Friday. You can just tune into Pat McAfee show if you're interested. This is your Raw review. Again, it is March 23rd, 2026. I'm the Solemn Monster. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. We are approaching 91,000 subs here on the channel. I think maybe we're 20 28 away, something like that. So, who knows? Maybe it'll be one of you tonight. But go ahead and subscribe. Super chats are open as well. So I will be reading your messages as we get a little deeper here into the show. You'll see them popping up on screen, and it is the easiest and most direct way to support the channel and what I do, and I appreciate it. Also want to mention, if you missed it, Sound Off episode 956 dropped yesterday on all podcast platforms. Got some good shit on there, so if you missed it, go ahead and check that out. Bring up the wheel. Let's spin the wheel before we get into this here. And let's find out how many likes we need to do Beat a Booker tonight.
Look at Richie Rich over here.
Oh my God.
All this money
In the middle of a spin.
I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean the rock, a rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Was that Randy Bobandy? Oh my God, I believe it was. Randy Bobandy with a $100 super chat. Part of the Bomb Squad tonight. You're just like Boots. Not Boots the other night. It was a week ago, actually, 316 day. I had Boots drop a 316 bomb on my ass. Now we got Randy Bobandy here. Randy, thank you. Says, I know I'm not as active on the streams as I used to be. Wanted to send a Bobandy bomb. I like that. And just say I'm so happy to see your channel blowing up and getting new podcasts. Glad to be a part of the journey all these years. God bless Solo. That's very nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, Randy's been around for a while. I'm glad you've been on this journey with me, Randy. Feel free to pop up a little more often. Tawab says, it didn't work. Solomonster watched Scream 7 out of nowhere. Why, Solo, why? I'm asking myself that same question now that I've watched Scream 7. I don't think you guys warned me enough. I blame you. Anyway, 475 likes. That's the goal for tonight. Did you beat a Booker? Now let's start from the beginning of the show, which actually, now that I look back on this show, this was the best thing on the show. And it was Brock Lesnar again. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, they were out first to open things up. Lesnar was wearing a new FAF5 shirt, which plays off of Paul Heyman's promo from last week when he came out to confront Seth Rollins and he told him FAFO, FAFO, FAF5, and then Brock came out. So he had loud Oba chants. Heyman said that Oba Femi is overhyped by WWE and accused him of taking advantage of Lesnar the way that he did last week after Brock had just fought off so many of the masked men. Yeah, he was fighting off the Putty Patrol. Apparently that was very unfair. I mean, Brock didn't look like he broke a sweat in doing it, but apparently this was unfair. Said we've heard this narrative, many times over the years. Whoever beats Brock will be the next big thing. Lesnar conquered The Undertaker's undefeated streak, and there were many men. There was a whole line of men who were supposed to be the person to beat the one in 21-1. So he went down the list of names. He mentioned Goldberg. He said, nah. Braun Strowman. Nope. Dean Ambrose. And then that got a good rise out of the crowd. That got a good rise out of it. And of course I had to see some tweets. Ooh. Is this a hint? Is this a hint that he could be on his way back? There's a better chance that I will be wrestling Brock Lesnar next year in Saudi. I will be the Saudi monster wrestling Brock at WrestleMania than Jon Moxley going back to WWE.
He has a name, he has a face, he has a family, and yet
certainly no time soon, but I don't think he's ever going back, to be honest with you. So, but that got a nice reaction from the crowd. He mentioned Bobby Lashley, that didn't get any reaction. He mentioned AJ Styles, and he mentioned John Cena was supposed to be that guy. And when he mentioned John Cena, and the fact that they dominated him, that got loud boos from the crowd. Said, singing of the Midnight Express. I didn't rewind it. I'm pretty sure he mispronounced his name and called him Dennis Conry, but it's the thought that counts. And that's exactly what she'll do. You are going to prison, which means your wife is going to divorce you and is going to end up with half the locker room, which is quite the comment to make. He said that he would adopt their daughter. And
more from your games with seamless sync across PC and mobile. Risk-free game trials.
Get the win there. It prolongs the... Nice to be back. I missed Friday Night SmackDown. I had some family dinner to attend, and Saturday I did not get anything done because I had to go to House of Glory on Saturday night, where we had our Super Clash, the Super Clash, in Brentwood, on Long Island. Really fun show out there as we now get ready for Las Vegas, which we will talk about in a little bit. But there was no Friday Night SmackDown stream. I did catch up with the most important things on Friday Night SmackDown, which wasn't really a lot. But I'm happy to be back live with you guys. Hopefully no internet outages. Last week I was live on Monday, and as we got to the end of the stream, right before the Super Chats, the whole neighborhood here was blacked out. We lost power. There was a wind and rainstorm. I was out for about a half an hour. None of that's going to happen tonight. We are very much live. We are very much locked in, and we're going to do this thing better than anybody. And I want to thank you guys for joining me here on this Monday Night Raw, man. You're not the greatest show tonight. Man, this road to WrestleMania is really slow. It's really slow. There's 26 days. 26 days to go until WWE descends upon Las Vegas. They are very much in the right lane, going 5 miles under the speed limit. They're driving the dark horse, and they're very much going 5 miles under the speed limit. And everybody in the left lane's looking at them like, oh, you got this fucking beautiful car, man. Put some fucking oomph into it, huh? A little pressure on the gas pedal and get into that left lane and just start making things happen, you know? WWE is not there yet.
Yeah, chilling.
I don't know what they're waiting for. They've given us a moment here and a moment there, and a big match announcement here and a big match announcement there. But man, it is very, very methodical and very slow paced with the way that they're handling this WrestleMania season. 26 days to go, man. This entire card should be fleshed out. People should know what they're doing.
Yeah, people supporting and adoring murder.
And stories should be hitting their climax,
and the opponents should be able to celebrate this. All it takes is one to say,
not to say that tonight was a bad show. It was an okay show. It's not something I'm going to tell you guys that if you missed it, you got to go back and watch it. This is one of those shows
they're out there supporting him. The whole people across the country that supported him
watch the
because they
highlights
think it was justified.
and get everything you need to know.
Very important. No matter what you think
that
about
was
the healthcare
Monday Night Raw
system,
tonight in a
the
nutshell.
fact that we walked down the streets of New York City and we go to
they bookend the show. They opened the show and ended the show with the two biggest things on Monday Night right now. That's Femi and Brock Lesnar, CM Punk and Roman Reigns with the Usos, and this feeling that we are just headed for another bloodline reunion. Punk is all by himself, got no backup in this battle against the Samoan family. What's gonna happen? What's gonna give? Let's start with Brock and Oba. I am very excited about what we're getting with Brock and Oba. WWE teased us. We didn't know if it was gonna happen. Rumors were circulating that Femi's not going to wrestle Brock Lesnar. It could be LA Knight versus Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. This open challenge was something that I kind of scoffed at. I feel like open challenges are done way too much. I think they're lazy. And it also signaled that WWE clearly didn't know what the fuck they wanted to do with Brock Lesnar. So the open challenge would buy them some time until they make their decision on what they want Brock Lesnar to do at WrestleMania.
Many viewers are swallowed by that.
I'm glad all of that, all that I mentioned, did not happen. They ended the Open Challenge with a month to go. They gave you the match that everybody wanted, Oba versus Brock Lesnar. And they gave you a great moment. I watched that fucking clip back last week at least a dozen times just to hear Michael Cole's reaction, man. Fucking great call. That was the call of the year so far. Michael Cole and Corey Graves, the way that they handle that. Last week's moment made Oba into a instant star.
We don't want to see it. So it makes it difficult for the prosecutor to prove their case. They're trying to prove their case.
It was Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming on out and expressing their case. Paul Heyman very much cleaned up from last week. He looked like a human being this week. He cut a very impassioned promo about Brock Lesnar and what Brock Lesnar means to the WWE and what Brock Lesnar means to WrestleMania and all the accomplishments of Brock Lesnar and what everybody tries to accomplish by trying to take down the beast, Brock Lesnar.
Given the report that he made this
while he's standing there, by the way, in his
if you
new
have people supporting
fuck around
and
F5
condoning
shirt.
it, and your people don't want to convict them, that's the problem.
WWE is the master of monetizing anything that happens to catch fire on their television show. Obafemi came out tonight. Initial moment.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah,
but Obafemi, he once again took care of Brock Lesnar this
you
time.
You have to be a stealth juror. Stealth juror, you have to say a whole lot of things.
They teased Brock giving Oba the F5, only for Oba to get out and clothesline him very emphatically over the top rope. And Oba once again stood tall. 2 weeks in a row, Brock Lesnar was owned by Obafemi. You know, I know a lot of people, including me, and I still feel like this is the case. A lot of people, including me, feel like Obafemi should win this match. Obafemi should go to WrestleMania, do his deal with Brock Lesnar, great showcase match. They don't have to overstay their welcome. Oba wins, and a new star is born. This is 2 weeks in a row now that Obafemi is now owned Brock Lesnar. Now, granted, there are 26 days left to go, and there is more than enough time for Brock Lesnar to get his hands on Obafemi and repay him for the last 2 weeks. This doesn't mean that Brock Lesnar is going to go to WrestleMania and beat Obafemi. This doesn't spell doom and gloom for Obafemi. There are 26 days left to go after this week. Brock is going to be making the next 3 Raws. There's no reason to panic yet. Brock could get the one-up on Oba the next 2 weeks. I hope that they do something different, and they don't do the same thing as they did in the first 2 weeks. But I'm assuming that Brock Lesnar is going to get his hands on Obafemi, and I'm assuming Brock Lesnar is going to get his hands on Obafemi to a point where he's going to get some of that revenge back. And it's going to be, by the time we get to Mania, it's going to be a little even. So I would not jump to any weird conclusions out there, because I already see people talking, well, Oba now has gotten the best of Brock Lesnar 2 weeks in a row. If the pro wrestling gods have anything to say about it, if it's pro wrestling 101 in the handbook of pro wrestling, that means Obafemi's going to lose at WrestleMania. Bro, there's 26 days to go. There's no reason to panic whatsoever. But I will say that WWE has given us the match that we want. B, this is the right match to happen at WrestleMania. There was no other match for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Not Rollins,
night, not some fucking NXT up-and-comer. This was the match. Not Gunther, this. This was the match. And they gave it to us. So kudos to WWE, that's number one. Number two, they gave you the moment last week. That made Oba into an instant star, right there. The biggest moment of that man's career. So much so that Lesnar tried to hide a smile last week after getting powerbombed, and so much so that Obafemi's eyes were bloodshot red because he had tears coming down his fucking cheek. The biggest moment of that man's career, which spans about 3.5 years. Rocket strapped. That was last week. You look at this week, he now clotheslined Brock Lesnar over the top rope so emphatically tonight as if he won the fucking Royal Rumble. And Lesnar, again, Lesnar is one of the best sells in the business. He stood outside the ring, or sat outside the ring rather. And the look on Brock Lesnar's face sold the entire moment. Shock, surprise, I don't believe it. Oba has fucked around and he hasn't found out yet. That's the kind of surprise that Brock Lesnar was left with as he sat on the floor outside after Oba clotheslined him over the top rope. Crowd chanting Oba, and then they bark. They reacted big when he came out. WWE has not done anything different with Obafemi. They've taken Oba from NXT, put him on Monday Night Raw, and let him exist. He's gotten over. They took him from NXT. They put him on Monday Night Raw. They let him exist, and they put him in the ring with Brock Lesnar and let him be. They let everything just be. They let everything exist. The presentation, the theme music, the attitude, the strut, they changed nothing. Normally, sometimes you see someone get called up from NXT, and something's changed, something's tweaked, they don't feel the same. Oba has blown through those doors and has absolutely won everybody over since the Royal Rumble. And it's been a natural progression. You see when he showed up at the Rumble, how everybody was excited, and where you see him now. WWE has done nothing but the simplest things. They let him be. They let him show the world who he is. They let... It is not the end of the world. I think Oba should win that match. But if he loses, there will be no crying. Because in the last 2 weeks, WWE has given you the newest rising top guy in the company.
Yeah.
Give this man 2 years, less than that. He's going to be WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Probably less than that. Maybe a year. I'd give him 12 months. I don't know what the game plan is here. But right now, it's 3-on-1. It is Jimmy, it is Jay, it is Roman. That is OG Bloodline before Solo Sikoa. It is the OG Bloodline against CM Punk, who has no friends, who has no backup, and has absolutely nobody in his corner to battle the Bloodline. He's a lone wolf out there. CM Punk may be Baron Corbin. I thought the segment tonight was a lot better than what they did last week. I felt like last week they just showed up and they did not know where they wanted to go. Felt like everything was half-assed. I felt like everything was just kind of ad-libbed. The cheap shots did not hit. And I felt like the segment fell flat on its face. Tonight, Punk came out and expressed why he was not bothered by the old man comment by Roman Reigns last week. And he explained why he's proud to be old. And why he has absolutely no care in the world if people call him old. Because he's proud of where he is. He knows he's old. Roman Reigns sent his Usos out there. And they set up the segment tonight, and then Roman Reigns, who works the easiest schedule of all time, came out with 5 minutes left to go on the show, did what he did, but it was Jey Uso, who everybody at one point or another is calling Mini Roman. You're acting a lot like Roman. Without the Ulafala, it was Jey Uso tonight who yelled at Roman, "You know what you gotta do, Us. Go get him. Smash him." And Roman Reigns, like a faucet, he turned on and he Superman punched CM Punk. He speared CM Punk, and then he powerbombed CM Punk through the announce table. He manhandled CM Punk tonight. I don't know what is going to happen at WrestleMania, but not only are we getting this mega main event match between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, it is now being constructed in a nice cloud of unpredictability. I don't know where they're going. Because you look at Roman and the Usos 3 against CM Punk 1. Are we getting a bloodline? Are we going back to the bloodline? Are we going back to what once upon a time worked on television? I don't know if that's the right move for Triple H, because I think there's more negative than positive that comes with that. It's not going to really bode well for the people that think about Triple H's creative one way or another.
He built himself up.
Just a rehash of ideas. And let's be real, Triple H inherited the bloodline from the Vince McMahon era and put his own little salt and pepper in it, in that pasta sauce. If we're being honest. The bloodline was well before Triple H took over. It was Triple H that inherited the bloodline right at the climax of how this show and the storyline of Cody Rhodes ended. And yes, I said show ended because theoretically the show has not been the same since Cody won the WWE title at WrestleMania 40. It's been watching a fucking show that's slowly fallen off a cliff for the last 2 years. But what is going to happen now? I feel like this entire match is just encased in a cloud of unpredictability. Do we get the Usos turning on Roman? Do we get somebody else in the family coming to the aid of CM Punk? Because Roman hasn't changed. Are we really looking at Dwayne coming back to the company? WWE's got WrestleMania next year in Saudi Arabia. Those people ask, they get. Are we getting Rock and Roman next year? WWE loves to be mysterious. They love to drop clues. They love to drop these little Easter eggs. There was one Easter egg tonight. There was one backstage moment with the Usos that if you were paying close attention,
the match ended in a DQ after Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes did not main event the show. They did not main event the show.
there was foreshadowing. I don't know if WWE is getting you ready for something bigger. But Roman and Punk, it seems a little lopsided right now. Night 2's main event, I feel like, is going to end WrestleMania. I don't know if it's going to end WrestleMania the way we want. I don't know if they're going to fix the mistake of last year's Night 2, which ended fucking horribly. But WWE may be positioning itself to close WrestleMania this year the complete opposite the way that they did last year's Mania in Las Vegas. I hope that's the case. We'll talk about the rest of the show, which I said there was not a lot of meaningful pro wrestling on tonight's show, but they did forward some storylines. Stephanie Becerra and Liv Morgan, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, the women's tag team title situation. We're going to go over it all right here on Off the Script. It is your Monday, March 23rd, 2026. I want to thank you guys for all the support, man. We'll be up live, man. So strap yourselves in, get a drink. The ring before Oba got into the ring, and he faced off with Brock Lesnar. They stared down for a few moments. Lesnar kicked Femi in the midsection. He picked him up on commentary. I know a lot of people are not very excited about Brock Lesnar being back on television. You got your woke mob out there looking to turn the other way, but will smile and put him in fake reaction clips on social media just because they know it will get engagement. You know who the victims are there, or the guilty parties are there. Regardless, nobody seems to give a shit now, huh? Nobody cares. Because Lesnar's in the ring with somebody that he should be in the ring with. One of those big, money-making, dream match scenarios with Oba Femi. They've booked this perfectly. You don't really hear Brock Lesnar being berated by the online mob anymore lately, huh? Well, what does Brock Lesnar have to offer WWE? What is Brock Lesnar gonna do on WWE television? Nobody wants to see Brock Lesnar or all this other fucking absolute garbage. Just like everything else, it died down. Just like everything else, it poof, disappeared like a cloud of smoke. You don't hear one peep from anybody. Not one peep. Because this is WrestleMania. This is WrestleMania. And it's very difficult to book a match that feels like WrestleMania in the current landscape. They've done everything. They've been through everybody. And they gave you this one. Enjoy it while it lasts. There aren't many of them. They booked this perfectly. And with 26 days to go, again, I gotta urge you guys to calm down. Lesnar could get the one-up on Oba Femi next week. He could get the one-up the week after. That doesn't mean Oba's buried. With these two situations in the last 2 weeks, he's already a made man. He's already a made man. All they needed was the visual. They needed him putting Brock down. That's why Michael Cole's call was so over the top. Because it sold the moment. I feel like Oba should win. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to sit here and fucking bitch and complain and moan. I know what they're going for. They'll run it back in Minneapolis. Oba will get the win there. It prolongs the program. It gets them from stage 1 into stage 2, and then Oba can fully put that rocket pack on, turn on the jets, and then off to the fucking skies he goes. It's not the end of the world. He's already a made man by what they've done in the last. Becky Lynch. She had a promo. You know, the one glaring issue with the program between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee going into the Elimination Chamber is that they tried too hard to be this. I don't know what the right word is to describe the promo back and forth. They were definitely awkward, number one. Said Jay could have at somewhere that we don't know.
Well, I'm going to end the video. Until next time, hit that like button, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Until next time, I'll see y'all later.